What's going on, everybody? Man, Eric Wilson still here, Sports Arena, evening edition, if you will. So, I talked to Alex this morning, talked to Mike, talked to Ruth. The only person left is my man, the Hitman, Turning Point Podcast on both sides of the story, Mr. Jake Rongholt. Jake, good evening, brother. What's going on?
Hey, good evening. It's been a wild weekend in the world of sports, and there's been some great things that have happened, and unfortunately, some sad things that have happened.
Yeah, very true. Listen,
Yeah.
we're going to jump right into this, my brother, and it's going to be the Jake Rongholt show this evening, ladies and gentlemen. So I
Oh,
got five questions for you. Jake.
All right.
My first question straight out the gate, my brother, is with everything that happened in Dallas, Jake, very simply, will Dak Prescott be the starter next year in Dallas?
It's a toss-up right now because we just don't know how much trust that Dak Prescott has with the Dallas Cowboys. We don't know the relationship with Stephen Jones or owner Jerry Jones. So there's a lot to really unpack with this. Yeah, first off, I was doing my job at Pro Football Action, and suddenly this news just came thrown into my face. I had to do the breaking news, type it up like a storm and everything. And that was one of the questions that actually came to my mind because I don't know if he is going to be the future for the Cowboys. He should be because he's only been the best player on the team for the last 4 weeks. I mean, he had over 1,300 yards passing. He only had a couple of interceptions. He hasn't been sacked much, and he's been that leader. One thing for sure, though, if the Dallas Cowboys decide to move on and draft a quarterback in next year's draft, he will be picked up very quickly because if you saw Patrick Mahomes, Carson Wentz, Aaron Rodgers, all were out there wishing him the best, which truly means that he has a wonderful relationship with a lot of NFL players in the NFL. And it would not surprise me if the Cowboys move on without him and he goes to a team that will actually pay him the money that he wanted to. But also keep in mind, there's a little blame to Dak because he bet on himself once again. He believed that the contract was not enough for him. He wanted to get more out of it. And unfortunately, this happened. But you know something? If he can just go down the road that he was yesterday with the rehab and everything, he'll be back at 2021 regardless.
Yeah, I agree. And, I'm never a proponent of wishing this type of injury on anybody. I want to see Dak be healthy. I want to see him back being the guy that we saw him to be and we know him to be. I, like you, am under the impression, depending on how long or how far, shall we say, Andy Dalton and Mike McCarthy take this Cowboy team, I think that's going to be the determining factor. Speaking of determining...
Eric, just real quick here, remind yourself, Andy Dalton has lost to the likes of TJ Yates and Matt Schaub. So I'm not really that optimistic that he's going to be able to take this Cowboys team to a Super Bowl. And not to mention that defense is a dumpster fire. They gave up 31 points to the New York Giants yesterday. You cannot do that and try and win in this league. Actually, I think it was 34 points. Yeah, 34 points. That it was. Well, that's even worse.
I agree. I agree with you. But time will tell, as they say. So, like you said, speaking of defining moments, if you will, finally, something that hasn't happened in several years, at least to my knowledge, the Las Vegas Raiders went into Arrowhead and not only beat the Chiefs, but beat the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. So, Jake, I got to ask you, did the Raiders provide the blueprint on how to beat Kansas City?
No, they didn't. This was just a great team win for the Las Vegas Raiders. This is not a blueprint. Everybody said the same thing about the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe that was the game where people thought this is the blueprint to stopping the Kansas City Chiefs. What the Raiders did was they played the Chiefs game. They had Derek Carr impersonate Patrick Mahomes and be able to take advantage of that deep ball. I warned a lot of people that one of the biggest weaknesses for the Chiefs this year was their inability to defend the deep ball, and it showed. As you saw Derek Carr do an impression of Daryl LaMonica, the Mad Bomber from the 1960s Raiders teams, and he went airborne with the like of Henry Ruggs III and Nelson Aguilar and got a couple of good passes over to Darren Waller. And they also ran the football efficiently. They had over 140 yards on the ground, including Devontae Booker, who came in for a little while. Then Josh Jacobs came in and finished the job. But no, this is not the blueprint to beating the Kansas City Chiefs, because the Kansas City Chiefs still scored 32 points yesterday and still had a golden chance to try and tie this thing up with the Las Vegas Raiders. It was a great win for the Raiders, but if anybody believes that this is a blueprint to beating the defending Super Bowl champions, the answer is no. And also keep this in mind. I told Chief fans this too. Biggest losses they have were on offensive line. They better pray that right guard position is not a problem. That left guard, Kaleki Asmeli, is out now because he has an Achilles injury. Now we're still waiting to find out what the severity is of that. But if that means they're going to be without their starting left guard and their starting right guard going into the Bills game.
Yeah. I just, when you see moments like this happen, I hate to use your line, but this is kind of a turning point now for the Raiders. Where they go from here, I think is really going to determine how far they go this season. So
yeah, Eric, they're building something great there. You just got to give it patience.
That's fine. Listen, they're not my team, so I can wait for the success of the Las Vegas Raiders. From success to failure, my friend, Bill O'Brien was relieved of his duties last week. And as of today, we found out that both the general manager and head coach of the Atlanta Falcons, after this 0-5 start, has been relieved of their duties. So, Jake, who's the next head coach, in your opinion, that you think is going to get fired?
I really hope it's Adam Gase for the New York Jets, but knowing the New York Jets, they're gonna wait until like the end of the season when they're 1-15 and they got the #1 draft pick. Honestly, I think the one that's gonna get fired is Doug Marrone. I think they're gonna come to a point where they're gonna be like a 1-6, 1-7 team at this point, and then they're gonna say to themselves, "Look, the Atlanta Falcons have fired their GM and their head coach. They fired the Texans fired their GM/head coach Bill O'Brien. Why can't we?" Doug Marrone has done nothing since the AFC Championship game back in 2017. Dave Caldwell has continuously let player after player after player go on to greener pastures. This is a problem right now. I know everybody wants to say, oh, Detroit is going to be next. No. Detroit and the Jets are going to wait until the end of the season. That's what they do. They don't want to make those moves. They don't want to be hesitant with it, because if they decide to do this, there could be a chance that Detroit will also say goodbye to Bob Quinn. But the way that the Lions have been playing lately, it just feels like it's going to be that kind of season again, and they're going to fire Matt Patricia, and they're going to let general manager Bob Quinn walk out the door. But honestly, Jacksonville, watch that team very closely, because if they want Trevor Lawrence next year, you need a better coach and a better GM.
Wow. Not the guy I was thinking of. The two names that you mentioned, I figured Adam Gase, and I did figure Matt Patricia.
Have you watched Jets football? I mean, you got to go back to 1996 when they had Rich Kotite, of all people, for two straight years, and they went 3-29. Does not make me blink. It's still Woody Johnson's team, but it's being ran by his son. Oh, that's even better.
Talking about my man, Jake Rongholt, Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story here on the Sports Arena. So I want to transition over to basketball, because as we did find out, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Rajon Rondo, J.R. Smith, and the entire organization under Frank Vogel and Jeannie Buss, they won the NBA title. LeBron now has his fourth. Jake, let's talk about LeBron's legacy for a moment. Now with this fourth title, what are you hearing? And if you could just provide me your thoughts on where LeBron goes from here.
LeBron stays at number 2. Number 1 will always be, for me, is Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls. But let me tell you something. We have been embarrassed with this version of riches that we have been given. Michael Jordan, 1991 to 1998, he won 6 championships. Kobe Bryant, he won 5 championships, God rest his soul. And then LeBron James wins 4 NBA finals, and he has done it with 3 different teams. We're talking Cavaliers, Heat, and the Los Angeles Lakers. I don't want to hear about this anymore. This MJ versus LeBron thing, it's about as old as it gets. There is no debate. He is up there in the top 5 greatest basketball players of all time. Every single time I hear that LeBron James is on the verge of a triple-double, I turn the channel. I don't care if I'm watching my favorite movie. I don't care if I'm watching a football game. I need to see LeBron James play. And when I got to see him in the NBA Finals, fighting it out with Jimmy Butler like that in Game 5, I just sat there and went, look, the Heat are out of oxygen at this point. They are going to lose Game 6. And the the Lakers are going to be NBA Finals champions. That's what I thought there. And they did it last night. And LeBron James, you don't have to say that you got respect. You have the respect. To hell with your haters. That's all they're going to do, because keep this in mind. Haters secretly are lovers that don't have the balls to actually tell you how they really feel.
Damn. This is why we call him the Hitman, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so I would ask you about Monday Night Football, but it's already currently in progress. The Chargers are up 6-0 over the New Orleans Saints. Ooh. So let's talk about the interesting matchup to close out here tonight on the Sports Arena. And again, thank you, Jake. Tomorrow night, Tuesday Night Football, Buffalo Bills versus Tennessee Titans. Two undefeated teams going at it. Jake, who you got in this game?
I'm going to take the Buffalo Bills. They have had plenty of time to get ready for this football game. The Tennessee Titans, I've watched their facility close not once, but twice over the last week and a half. They have over 22 people that have tested positive for this. And I mean, kudos that they were finally able to test negative today, because now the game is in session. The Buffalo Bills have had nothing to think about except, are we playing this game? Once they found out they were playing this game, they were ready to go. They have an MVP candidate in Josh Allen, who has not thrown an interception, has not made any mistakes. And while the Titans defense is pretty good, they're not as good as the Buffalo Bills defense, because once they stop Derrick Henry, the Titans are going to become one-sided, and Ryan Tannehill will be forced to make mistakes. Even though A.J. Brown is possibly going to come back, that's not going to really do the job, because they also lost Corey Davis. So Corey Davis is actually a loss for their offense. But I got the Buffalo Bills in this. I love the way they're being played right now. Fantastic defense. Love Sean McDermott. One thing that I was very impressed with against the Las Vegas Raiders, after getting up over 167 yards to the Los Angeles Rams, they came out firing, traveled across the country, and only gave up 48 yards to Josh Jacobs. The Buffalo Bills, there's a reason they are undefeated. I'm taking the Bills in a close one, 23-17.
In a close one. Still giving Tennessee with Derrick Henry and Ryan Tannehill an opportunity to get it done. But at the end of the day, still going with the Bills. Jake Rongholt, Turning Point Podcast, telling both sides of the story. Everybody check out his articles on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all social medias. Your man, Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. Great time this evening, Jake. Thank you. We will definitely be talking to y'all soon. Everyone, have a great night. Enjoy Monday Night Football and Tuesday Night Football.